Hi Justin, and let's break down your animation. So I really want to say that I really like your animations this week. They are really good, especially this one. The design is great, the timing works very well, and other animations are good as well. So let's start from the first one. Overall, this is also a solid animation. I like the overall design and the shape language. So most of the notes are kind of general because they apply to overall planning of the shot and understanding how your animation can be used in the context. So right now the animation works quite well. It may seem a bit slow in the beginning because you repeated this frame and the next frame as well, so you've got 2 frames and then 2 frames of repeated, and you're basically animating on lower frame rate to begin with, so it may create a bit of disproportionate in terms of timing, so it can be solved very easily by just deleting the second frame, and that would be enough. It doesn't mean anything really. So otherwise it's pretty damn good. In terms of the focus, the thing I wanted to talk about is not about spacing or not even about the technical quality of the animation. In that regard, the animation is very good, as I already said. It's about talking about focus and intention. So right now the animation works well. In the beginning we are drawn to this part. So usually there are several ways you can attract viewers' attention, and the most obvious one is motion and speed. So something that is more complex when it is near more simple scene, or something that moves faster, or something that's more contrasting in color will attract attention. In this case we have this part. This part moves fastest. It changes the most in terms of the shape language and the shape overall. So at the beginning of the animation, this is our focus. So we're looking at this part. Why? Because there are most complex form, there is the most motion in there, and there is more changes in terms of force there. So if that's what should be going on in the shot, that's totally fine, and that's the way to go. If we want to attract attention, for example, to the object that's being hit, then we must change the animation in a way that drives your attention to that place. So for example, we can add some sparks here, add more line weight here, or add a change in shape here when the animation starts, and after that. Right now this animation, this part stays more or less still for the first part of the animation, and then it goes faster. So right now it goes like this. So this is our initial focus. We're initially looking here, then as it starts going off and breaking down into particles, and these particles start accelerating, our attention goes here, and then our attention goes here a bit. So this is how it looks like right now. So if we would had a task to focus viewers' attention on the object being hit or in the area of the hit, we could reduce the amount of change here a bit and add more variation line weight, these kind of elements in here to make it more readable, or rather to attract attention. In terms of the second part of the animation, it works fine. There is enough changes and all the stuff. One thing is deciding what is the source of the lightning. Right now we have 2 points, we have this point and this point, and both points seem kind of static, so they move linearly and the form doesn't change on both ends. So we could pick what's what and change the form a bit on one end just to make it more interesting. We can alternatively, I see a simple solution here. So you see, we can connect it here for this frame and leave the particle here instead, and leave the particle here instead. Let's see. Something like this. A bit further. And still keep it connected here. Usually we keep the particles, if they're broken up, roughly in the same space afterwards. So right now, if it's here, it's here. Yeah, possibly something like that. This will make it a bit less static on one end. And we can also connect it here. On this end. Yeah, and if you want to focus this attention here, you can play a bit with the width, with the form, and limit a bit of that motion to the left and right here, because it's way faster than the general motion. You can also make the silhouette slightly more readable, but that depends on the style of the animation. You can remove that in frames to make a more clear and more wavy silhouette instead of connecting it and forming that kind of form. Let's see. So right now it's forming the form like that. Creates almost a straight line. So let's move on to the next animation. So this animation, again, very good in terms of form language, timing, and spacing. The thing here that we can play with is generally just adding some secondary charges. For example, you can have some secondary charges here, or you can have some secondary charges from the sources here. They don't have to appear on each frame, they just may zap from time to time. In terms of the shape language, I like it overall. There are some places where it's a bit rough, but it's not a big deal. Like here, you can make it clear. And stuff, but that's not a big deal. And you can emphasize that even more. Or with kind of a round shape language too, we can do that. Again, depending on the style you're going for, you can make it even more intense and complex. For example, let's go like this. It's hard to control. And let's make the bottom part and the top part a bit more different. Other than that, yeah, it seems like you're having fun, and that's great. Other than that, you can add a bit more variation where it goes up. Even here you can add more changes. Overall, it's a scene wave like that. And we can even add a frame where it goes like this, even more intense. And I can also play a bit with the frame rate. It doesn't have to be like skipping a frame every second frame. It's a way to plan that, but you can also add like some smaller charges here and there, breaking up that timing. Next up, this one is very solid animation. I like the overall timing, forms, the style of it. So aside from making it slightly more broad in a sense, in terms of the line widths, so making the line bolder and more visible, which can be done in After Effects by adding more glow and stuff, or if you use a different line weight. Aside from that, it looks good. I like the shape language. The particles may seem a bit small here, but that depends on the style, and some styles it's totally okay to keep particles this small. In terms of the shape language, you can connect some of that electricity here so it doesn't seem too broken up. I like the internal shapes a lot as they create a very interesting balance, and you can keep it connected here because charge seems to be connected here, and then it seems to be more connected here than it was before, so it's worth connecting it here and then breaking it into particles. Usually try to start the charges if they continue to be connected. So right here, this is the first time it charges and shoots out, and then you still keep it connected. So it would make sense to keep it connected here just to make it work with the next few frames. Other than that, that's a solid animation, and I really like the style. Maybe as a small note, you can add some particles from this part of the charge so it doesn't seem too static. So right now it goes like this, sort of stays in the same spot, and then all the other part of the charge seems to be present while this totally disappears. You can leave some particles here just to make sure that it doesn't break it into two equal parts. As for this animation, again, very good shape language. I like the overall timing of it. It might be worth making this smaller so that it doesn't interfere with the next frame, because we have motion in this direction, so it kinda goes one, then it kinda goes forward, and then it kinda goes back visually. So we get forward, forward, back and forward, back and forward. We don't kind of see the source of the lightning, so on this frame you can try not using the lightning at all and see how it works. I don't think that it changes much, and it definitely makes it more clear, so you can just keep a black screen. As for the particles here, they work nicely. Let's see, in terms of spacing, we can maybe continue the acceleration for a bit. Now we have a nice deceleration here. It's probably just this particle making it a bit less clear. 2, nice deceleration, deceleration, deceleration. Let's see if it works well without it. Yeah, I think it's better to change the particle a bit so that it retains this acceleration, because if you keep it like it is now, it goes forward and then you put it back, and so that kind of messes up the acceleration at the beginning. It makes it look slower when it starts. You can also, depending on the purpose, remove that center bit after that frame, because it does catch your attention. So generally speaking, the attention of the viewer will most likely go to in this direction, because the masses that move faster and are bigger are going in this direction. So the bit in the center may be a bit distracting in this regard. Here it's possible, I guess you can try erasing that particle, because it does distract you a bit from the overall direction and dynamics of the form. Or you can, so it's either making it smaller so it doesn't stand out too much, or making it bigger and connected to the form, or erasing it so it doesn't distract too much from the overall animation. Let's see. It's all very small stuff. You can also try filling that out and making the change even more dramatic. Potentially we can also add a delay here. Take the original frame of yours. Potentially that works. It's the original version. Yeah, any of that can do. The left beat seems a bit distracting, definitely. But aside from that, it's totally okay. So aside from this one, it works fine. You can add more acceleration for that beat, or more form change for this part, and then it will focus the attention more on the head. So I tried doing that, and you can do it. It's kind of opening up a bit, or it can go in the other direction. It doesn't really matter much. It's just about having a faster change to focus attention. You can also increase the delay between the first hit and this one by a frame or two, so that they can read separately. So that's it. Wish you good luck with your animations. We only have a week and a half, I guess, so you definitely have the time to finish all the remaining stuff, composite it, and create a great presentation. Bye bye.